The gentleman in the back. We have time for like one or two more questions.
Namo Abdullah with Rudao Media Network. So I have a question about the former ambassador to Turkey and Iraq. James Jeffrey was just sworn in as the United States Special Representative to Syria. So what can you read into that? Does that mean we are entering like a post-ISIS phase in Syria? And what does it mean to Iraq as well? Thanks.
Well, he was on this panel, actually. We had this panel about 45 days ago, 2 months ago. And he's very aware of the potential for ISIS resurgence in both Iraq and Syria, and very concerned about creeping Iranian influence in both countries. I think it's a great post, but I'll let you go into it since you told me about it this morning.
I think it's this administration paying greater attention to Syria, paying greater attention.
Let you go into it since you told me.
Isolation from Ambassador Jeffrey has served in the past, I hope that this is a sign that this administration is finally putting its act together when it comes to having a clear Syria policy, because Ambassador Jeffrey is a very serious diplomat, a very serious mediator as well, as we in Iraq know. On the one hand, he's a realist. He goes in with both eyes wide open. Second, and again, to stabilize Syria, then the United States needs to work with Iraq, with Turkey, and obviously with Russia, with Iran, and since we're talking about Iraq and this panel is about Iraq, I think one area where Iraq has been at a disadvantage is that Iraq policy has been seconded to an Iran policy where the focus is solely on sanctions, or an ISIS policy where the focus has been mainly on security and military. But I think by focusing, by having Ambassador Jeffrey in charge of the Syria dossier, he will have that holistic view and that comprehensive view of looking at politics, security, ISIS resurgence, but also his knowledge of politics in Iraq and politics in Turkey. I hope that Iraq will also be able to, Iraq policy will be able to be a standalone policy rather than second to some other secondary policy.
And now Brett McGurk doesn't have to do everything. So that's
exactly. That was the point that I wanted to make. And also one of his key tasks would be about the political processes in Syria, because right now, of course, Turkey, Iran, and Russia, they have taken the initiative through the Astana process. They're leading all those efforts, and the Geneva process is almost dead. So I think that he would be tasked to re-energize that and bring kind of more international consistent efforts for any kind of political settlement and also political future of Syria, although I personally am not very optimistic about that prospect.